Hello and welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to design a YouTube thumbnail in Canva. So if you look on the screen right now, this is the thumbnail that we are going to be designing. So as you can see, we have a couple of different elements in the thumbnail. We have a photo of me as I am the person in the video, so you know who is in the video you're going to watch. We have a yellow border. We have a background which is sort of like crumpled up paper, which I added because it is a design-based video, so having paper in the background is relevant. And then we also have the text, which tells you what is going to happen in the video. So now let's open Canva and we can get started designing this thumbnail. So first of all, we need to create our project. To do that, you can either search for YouTube thumbnail in this search box just here, or you can click Create a Design at the top right. From here, I'm simply going to type in thumbnail, and I'm going to click onto the YouTube thumbnail option. So if you want, you can start by naming your project. I'm simply going to name it YouTube thumbnail. And there we go. And now we can actually start to design our YouTube thumbnail. So I'm going to start by adding a background. So to do that, I'm going to click onto the background tab over here. And you can either add a background color at the top here. You can look at your recently used photos. You have landscapes, patterns, gradients, abstract photos, food, textures, flowers, nature, and then you can just see all of the results below that. Now, as I said, I am using the paper background, so I can either click onto the recently used photo, or I could simply search for paper. And there we go. So I think this one here is the one that I used. So I'll click onto that. And there we go. So we have the first element added, and that is the background. Now from here, the next thing that we need to do is add the text. So I'll click onto text over here and I'll click add a heading. And I am simply going to type all in capitals, how to. Then I'm going to enlarge this text. And in the thumbnail that I created, I made sure that the text was centered. So align it to the center. As you can see, you have a few different options up here, but this one is the centered text. And the font I used was called Now Bold. So I will simply search for Now Bold. And here we go. So this is the font that we are going to use. So I will simply click onto it. And now we have our first piece of text done. All we need to do now is add the effect that I used in the thumbnail. So to do that, I'm going to ensure that the text is selected, and then I'll go to Effects, and I'm going to use the Splice effect. Now we can adjust the settings for the effect. So first of all, I want direction to be on 0. There we go. And offset needs to be on 0 as well. Finally, thickness is up to you. However, I'm going to leave it on 50. And finally, I'm going to change the color. So I'll click onto the color box just here. And we want to find a decent yellow color. So I'm going to click onto add a new color. And I'm going to move across to the yellow colors. And then I'll put it right in the top corner. And that is how we will get our yellow text color. So we have added the effect to our text. Now I'm going to make it bold. And I'm also going to adjust the letter spacing for this text. So make sure it is selected, and then I'm going to click onto this icon here, which is to adjust the spacing. And I'm going to go onto letter spacing and bring it down to around -50. There we go, -55 is absolutely fine. And there we go. So our first piece of text is completed. Let me just close this bar so we can see it in full screen. And I'm not going to position anything yet, because first of all, we need to make sure we have all of the elements that we need in the design, and then we can position everything to how it needs to be. So I'm going to duplicate this text twice, because we need 2 more lines of text. We want it to say how to design thumbnails in Canva. So I'll click onto it, and you can either click Ctrl D to duplicate it, or you can click onto this icon up here, which will duplicate it as well. So that is completely up to you how you do it. So there we go, we have 3 pieces of text here. So for the second line, it needs to say design thumbnails. There we go. We need to make it a bit wider so that it fits in. Perfect. And then this last line of text will say in Canva. Fantastic. So if you remember the thumbnail I showed you at the beginning, this piece of text in the middle had a different effect, and the piece of text at the bottom had the same effect, however it had a different color. So what I'm going to do is go to Effects, and then I'll click onto the color, and I'm simply going to set it as white. So there we go, this text is now white. However, I'm also going to increase the thickness for this text to about 65. There we go, perfect. So now what we need to do is adjust the effect for the middle line of text. So I'll select it, I'll go to Effects, and then what we want to do is select Background. So with the background effect, you can adjust the roundness, the spread, and the transparency. Now I'm going to leave the transparency at 100. However, I'm going to move the roundness to 30 and the spread to 15. And there we go. So that has made an improvement. However, I'm also going to change the font. So I'm going to select the text again, and I'm going to go to the font up here, and I'm going to type in Bobby. And the font that we want to use is Bobby Jones Soft. There we go. So as you can see, this thumbnail is now starting to take shape. So I'm just going to select this text in the middle, and I'm going to make the width quite a lot less, just so that it makes it easier to center. There we go. And the other two are perfect already. So now we can start to just adjust the positioning for these pieces of text a little bit. There we go. So that is a bit better. However, I feel like the letter spacing in this middle line of text needs to be increased slightly. So I'm just going to go back up here and change it from -55 to -15. And there we go. So I'll just need to make this text a bit wider again. And I'll center it in these other two pieces of text. And there we go. So if I just put this here, we have our text completed. Now all we need to do is add the photo and the border, and the thumbnail is pretty much good to go. So I'll start by adding the photo. Earlier on, I took a few photos and I have already uploaded them to Canva. So if I go to the uploads section here, we can see that these are the photos I took. And this one down here is the one that I'm going to use for this particular thumbnail. So I can add that to the design, and then I'll close that bar so that we have the full screen to play with again. So now what I'm going to do is make sure the photo is selected, click position, and then I'll click to front, so that it's at the front of everything so that we can edit the photo. So before we do anything, we need to make two changes to the photo. So I'm going to select it and go to edit image. And then what we want to do is retouch the photo so that I don't have spots and things like that. So I'll simply click face retouch. And we want to use the auto option, and it will do it all on its own. And then you can simply adjust the intensity. So for me, I need to put it all the way to 100 so that it's not too bad. And then I'll click apply. Perfect. So we are then going to use the background remover tool. So if you don't see it right here, all you need to do is go to search effects and type in background. And as you can see, we have the background remover tool right here. So I'll click onto that. And after a couple of seconds, it will remove the background for this photo. And there we go. So the background has been removed. So I'm simply going to click apply down here. And now we have the photo as well. So for now, we're going to forget about the photo because we need to add the border. So I'm going to put it in the middle of the screen so that we can add the border around the outside. And to do that, I want to go to elements. And from here, you want to find the line element. So you can either click line here, you can go to search and then click line under suggested, or you can type in line and you will find the lines tool just here. So I'll click onto that. And we want the very first one that shows up. Perfect. So we now have our line. So what we need to do now is adjust the thickness, but first I'll close this tab so we have some more space. So make sure that your line is selected and then click onto this tool just here and go to line weight, and I'm going to make mine about 20. There we go. And I'm now going to make the line a border. So I'm going to put it all the way to the top left and drag it all the way to the top right. So we have the top border done. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to make the line a little bit thicker. So I'm going to increase the weight to 30. There we go. That is perfect. And I want the border to be the same color as the text. So I'm going to click onto the text, go back to effects, click onto the color down here, click document colors. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I can copy the color that I used in the text. So as you can see now, this color code is highlighted. I'm simply going to right click it and click copy. And now I'm going to select the border again, click on line color, click add color, and paste in the color which I just copied. So as you can see, the border is now the same yellow color as the text down here. So we want to make sure that the border lines up across all of the edges. So first of all, I'm going to drag it down so that it clicks just like that. And now I'm going to duplicate it. And with the duplicated line, I'm going to bring it all the way down to the bottom of the thumbnail design. There we go. So we have the top of the thumbnail and the bottom, both with lines for the border. So now I'll click onto the top line again and duplicate it again, rotate it 90 degrees, make sure it's 90. There we go. And I'll put this one on the left. And now I'll duplicate this one. Where is it? There it is. And put it over on the right. So there we go. We have now created the border, which goes all the way around the design. So next, what I'm going to do is use this photo and put it where I want it to be. So to start with, as you can see, I'm slightly leant over to the right. So what I'm going to do is rotate this slightly until it's no longer looking like I'm leaning to the side. And I think that is about perfect. And then I'm going to bring it over to the side on the right and increase the size of the photo. Okay, so what we need to do is make sure that you can't see anything behind it down here, which looks good. So as you can see, if I'm going to bring it up, you can then see the background and that doesn't look good. So we're going to bring it down to about here and I'll bring it to the left a little bit. And I'll click off the screen now so we can see what we've done. Okay, so now you can't really see all of the text. So what I'm going to do is select all of the text down here and I'm going to make it smaller and then center it just like so. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is lock this image so that I can't accidentally move it. So I'll select it and click on this padlock up here and it will lock it. So now I can't move this photo at all. So if you're trying to select this text over here, it will no longer let you accidentally select your photo and move it, because that can be quite annoying. So if you remember, in the original thumbnail that I designed, the photo looks like it's popping out of the border. So in order to do that, I'm simply going to select the bottom and the right lines for the border, and I'm going to move them behind the photo. So first I'll select the line at the bottom, I'll click position, and I'll click backward. And then I'm going to do the same with this one on the right. Now, as you can see, there we go. That is to the back now. So what we need to do now is make the photo slightly larger so that you don't see any of the border here. So I'll click onto it and I'll unlock it so that we can move it and adjust it again. And I'm simply going to enlarge the photo and I'll move it to the right again. And I'll enlarge it a bit more. Okay. So I think this is looking good. I'm going to make it slightly bigger and then I'm going to lock the photo once more. Now what I'm going to do is select the line at the top and I'm going to move that backward as well. And there we go. So now it looks like the photo is popping out of the thumbnail. So there we go. Our thumbnail is pretty much completed. One more thing I'm going to show you how to do is add an outline to the photo. So if you want to add an outline to the photo just to make it pop that little bit more, you need to unlock it again and then go to Edit Image. And from here, we are going to search for a tool called Shadows. There we go. This one is the tool that we want to use. So I'll click onto this and we want to use the glow shadow. So this will give the photo an outline, and annoyingly, it will also resize the photo, but don't worry. So what we're going to do now is click onto the effect. As you can see, it says See Controls. So I'll click onto that. And here we can adjust the effect that we have just applied. So for example, you can increase or decrease the blur. You can increase or decrease the transparency. So I'll put the transparency at 100. And you can also increase or decrease the size. So I'll put the size at about 10. There we go. Then I'm going to set the color as white. And now, as you can see, we've added a white outline to the photo. So I'll click Apply, and we are actually going to have to reposition and resize the photo one more time. However, I think that it just makes the photo pop out that little bit more. So let's close this over here so that we have more space to work with, and select the photo, make it bigger again, bring it back over to the right. And there we go. So you might not want the outline, but if you do, this is how you add it. But it's completely up to you, of course. So then we have the text over here on the left, we have the photo on the right, we have the border, and we have the background. Now also, don't forget you can change the background at any time if you decide you don't like the background that you've added, simply by clicking on the background tab, and then let's remove what we've searched, and you can find a new photo or color to use for your background. And before I end the video, I'm just going to lock a few of these elements, and I will lock the text as well. So there we go. This is the thumbnail that we have created. To download it, simply click Share and Download. And then I recommend using the PNG file type if you are using it as a YouTube thumbnail. And then simply click the Download button, and you can choose where on your computer you want to save the thumbnail to. However, I'm not going to be doing that right now. So there we go, that is it. That is how you design a YouTube thumbnail using Canva. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope that you learned something new. I will see you in the next one. Once again, thanks and goodbye.